everybody. This is Muchaneta here from Fashion Nerd. I'm at the Keyhouse at Munich Fabric Star, and I'm here with the regular Simon, who does all the sustainable innovations, right?
Right.
So he curates all these amazing people who come up with great innovations and solutions. So can you tell us a little bit about who you've got on board this season?
Yeah, so this time when I take a tour, I notice that I have several kind of perspectives this time. So I have some mind shifts. So there is a project focusing only on the seaming. So it's not about the textile, it's about the seaming as well. And there is another project that caught my interest about the perspective of how to look at nature. So what I really found interesting is that the word sustainable innovations, or the brand sustainable innovations, always puts the focus on natural material. And shall I give you an example how this works?
Please do, yes.
So this student, Jeanette Lily Weiss, she was in this sustainable course, and the teacher said, well, go into the nature and find natural material and work on it with your collection. And then, so she went into nature and she came back with plastic. When I heard that story, it shifts my perspectives a bit, that maybe I'm from the generation that we should think about plastic as natural, right? As nature. And I think shifts like that are very important and also very fresh, because now you also can see marriages between plastics and natural organisms, and it's very beautiful. So maybe we can accept that plastic is part of nature as well.
So when it comes to like nature in general, would you say a lot of the sustainable innovations are inspired by nature? Because I've noticed that over the seasons that you have always introduced us to products that are inspired by trees, or inspired by this and that. It's very natural.
Yeah.
Would you say this is plays a big role in people's solutions?
Well, I believe more that in general people should be connected to nature. If you are not connected to natural elements, then there's something going on.
Okay.
And maybe if you look at this as a society that we have built up right now, then maybe there are a lot of systems that are not connected to nature anymore, and maybe people are starting to disconnect with natural elements.
Continue. No. No, I was just going to say, if there's anybody you've kind of brought to the Keyhouse that we should definitely go and have a look at their work.
In the Keyhouse in total, or the sustainable innovations area?
No, just the sustainable innovations.
I always try to find balance in perspectives that we already accept as sustainable, like working with natural materials. What I find really nice projects are the projects of Gail Jakobovic. She works with milk, for example, but also with salt crystals. And also another project is focusing on sisal. We know sisal as a really tough rope.
Yes.
And this project transforms sisal, the tough rope, into really soft material, which I think is a very good example of people who try to transform already existing techniques and already existing perspectives as well.
Do you see any of these solutions actually making it mainstream? Or do you think they're just, at the moment, just ideas, like really great ideas, but not ready for the mainstream?
I think it's one of my challenges is that every project that I show should be mainstream ready. And the reason that they are shown here is to make connection with the mainstream industry, right? With the linear industry.
Yes.
And it's not the lack of the students or the smaller companies but I think it's the lack of connectivity. So that's why I found these surroundings very important and very creative, because here you find the big textile companies in the same floor space, even without knowing each other, and they are ready. They both are ready. So the big companies are ready for the smaller ideas.
Do you think that, I always say this, that the textile industry is quite old-fashioned, quite traditional. Do you really think that they are ready to adopt this information, or are we just at the stage of educating them at the moment?
I think there's something in between, because and this is what I found interesting with the students that I teach, is that the students are focusing on processes and not only on solutions. So if the linear big linear industry is here and the smaller textile designers are here. You put a new industry in the middle who is focusing on the process. So process designing is also very important and very interesting because the big industry has a difficulty in understanding the smaller principles and vice versa.
And with regards to dyeing, you've got somebody who's focusing on dyeing, like dyeing material, yes?
Well, usually we have one, and now we have Gal who is dyeing with natural ingredients as well, like coal.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I feel like this is kind of a part of the industry where people are not really quite sure what's going on.
Yeah. So dyeing textiles is very challenging and very hard to. From history, it is very hard to manage the quality and manage the continuity of the dyeing process. But last time we had this atlas of sustainable colors, and
loved it. Yes.
I think it's still a very good example about how to bridge the gap between the smaller dyeing researchers and the big dyeing industry. So this is a very good example about how the smaller companies are actually industry ready for the bigger market.
So that's good. I like that word, industry ready, because I feel like a lot of innovation and solutions are never industry ready.
Yeah.
They're just kind of ideas, great ideas, but how are we going to then put that into the fashion business, you know? Yeah. So who, in terms of like who you're presenting here, has been the kind of like drawing the people in? The one everyone's been like going to and being like, oh my God, that's exciting. You know, who's the crowd pleaser?
Well, that's a tricky question because I always try to do my best that every participant is the eye catcher.
I know, you're being like the father right now, aren't you? You're like, I love all my children just the same.
Right.
But you can whisper a favourite in my ear. Who's been the favourite one?
I don't like whispering. I like openness, and what I think is amazing is changing perspectives, right? And I think each participant is changing perspectives, but for me the eye opener was, well, if you go in nature and you come back with plastic, then my mind shift is already turned in a second, right? Because I know that plastic is part of nature. And I think that opens up a really big context.
I want you to explain, how do you think plastic is part of nature? Because, you know, it's always been the evil word, plastic, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is why I find this project very interesting, because we always look from the sustainable angle. We always think of plastic as the evil or the great polluter or something.
Like
the
a
oil
dirty
industry.
Word, you know?
Yeah. But if we go into nature, you don't have to actually search. There is plastic everywhere. So that's why it is part of nature already. And this is my eye-opener, that maybe I'm from the generation that plastic is part of nature. Yes. It's nice. It's a nice perspective.
That's a different perspective. I mean, that's the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah.
Because when they say plastic, they say it with an angry look on their face.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting to hear it being part of nature.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Have a good one tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.